I think the title perfectly sums up a lot of these live service games because I don't quite know what the developers were expecting, because so many of these live service games are just so blatant in their attempt to drain your time. And I'm not saying in an enjoyable way, I'm talking about grinding, I'm talking about multiple currencies to try to get you to use that useless currency to work your way up to get a little bit of that extra premium currency, just enough to get the one little thing that you want, and then make it another 10, 15 hours to unlock anything else. I'm talking about the fact that there are long gaps between content drops. I'm talking about so many different things in these games that seem like they could just be a great game if they decided to just be a game. Because a lot of these live service games aren't focused on being a game. They're focused on being kind of like a subscription service without the subscription fee. They want to nickel and dime you along the way. They want to get you hooked, and that's it. They want you hooked. Not necessarily having fun, but addicted. And the thing is that a lot of these game developers and publishers don't quite understand what gets people hooked and why people play certain games for large amounts of hours. They get the general idea, but they don't actually nail it down. Like, why is Fortnite so successful? We need to just copy all of that. But let's leave out all of the bits that actually make it fun. Let's leave out the bit where battle passes are actually a decent value and will actually give you enough currency to not only get the next one, but also have extra on top of that. We'll throw away the fact that you can actually level up through it without having to only play the game, and that's it. That's the only game you're allowed to play. They don't seem to understand that. They've made them grindier. They've made ability to get the next battle pass for free through playing through that one. Most of the time it's impossible or very difficult, or just not possible at all. I know Halo Infinite, the first battle pass, had 0 premium currency in it. They learned with the new one, but it's too late. And a lot of these games, it was too late. It's sad to see something like Knockout City get canned. Honestly, it was a pretty fun game. I just didn't have time for it. Same with Rumbleverse. It looked like a lot of fun. And that's another issue we come to with these live service games, is the fact that just like the video game publishers, just like the video game developers themselves, they don't just want some of the money. They want all of the money. So they bring that over to your time. They don't want just some of your time. They want all of your time. And because they're all trying to grab the little time that we have outside of work, there's going to be a lot that are going to be left aside and not played. They're going to be abandoned. They're not going to be making enough money to justify the cost of keeping them up, because a lot of these games, I'm sure the servers are very expensive. The maintenance required to keep the updates flowing, to keep the new content flowing, all of these things require lots of man hours, lots of content development, and servers themselves are just incredibly expensive. So with all of those things put together, you have a recipe for disaster. Now, some people are saying that there's a bubble and it's going to pop soon. I saw an article about that. Oh, and it's just Fortnite. Everything has got to compete with Fortnite. And honestly, kinda? But this isn't new. They keep acting like Fortnite is the new thing. Like Fortnite is this crazy gaming anomaly that came out of nowhere. There's never been anything like Fortnite before. Wrong. MMOs have had the same problem forever. Back when MMOs were the new thing, which were essentially just live service games with extra steps, there's only enough time for a couple of these games. You can't sink the required hours that these games need you to, these MMOs, to actually experience all of the content, to get good at the game, and to form these communities that the games are built on. You just don't. You can't do it. You have very limited free time. And with that limited free time, you have time for maybe one of those games. And then if you play one of those games, you don't have time for all these other games that are coming out constantly. So if you were like me and you played World of Warcraft for a couple of years, you missed out on a bunch of game releases because you were just playing World of Warcraft because that game demanded all of your time. And because World of Warcraft demanded all of your time, so many other MMOs saw the shining example of money and attention and hype, and they wanted to jump on that train. And how many succeeded? None. pretty much. If you look at the MMOs that have died over the lifespan of World of Warcraft, it is shocking. It's like this graveyard that they've just trudged through all of these corpses of dead MMOs as they continue going. Even through all of the allegations, even through the fact that the game isn't that great anymore. But now it's like the last standing alive big MMO. The MMO titan World of Warcraft was never killed, and all of these games tried to be the WoW killer, the World of Warcraft killer, and they didn't do it. And because they were trying to be this game killer, like they're doing with Fortnite, instead of just, you know, trudging your own path, doing something different, and trying to find the next big thing, instead of just trying to ride the coattails of the current big thing, we're seeing all these other games dying out because they're all trying to follow in the same footsteps, and there just isn't enough time for people or money to go around. We're just going to keep seeing these long lists of games that are canceled because, you know, at the end of the day, they didn't put enough time and effort into the actual game plan of what they were going to do. And they either didn't launch great, like Halo Infinite, or they didn't grab the attention that they needed, like Knockout City. Now, you could argue that Halo Infinite's not dead yet, but the player count isn't great. And with the announcement of the Unreal Engine being the next Halo game, I mean, they're going to scrap Halo Infinite. You know, all the things that you've worked for and all the things that you've paid for and all the things that you've done don't really matter anymore. The game's going to shut down. So it's been really hard for me to feel motivated to play any Halo Infinite anymore. I enjoy the gameplay, but, you know, if it's just going to be wiped away, what's the point? And that's the thing about all of these live service games as well, is they're a big commitment. A lot of people don't want to commit that much time and money into something that they don't know if it's going to exist tomorrow. And that's the thing with all these games shutting down. It's only going to wear away at that thought. It's only going to make it even more difficult for people to commit because they're not going to have the faith in the games like they used to because they just keep shutting down. And that's what was happening with MMOs, and that's why World of Warcraft is still the biggest MMO out there and is still number one because the faith eroded on trying something new in the MMO sphere, so all the rest just kind of fell apart because they're like, why would I invest all my time in this game and pay for it every month and pay for all this different stuff and support it with microtransactions for how many hours I'm dumping into it when it's just going to be washed away? And that's what's going to happen with live service games. These companies need to take note of what is doing well, what isn't working, and what people actually want. And I feel like they've been taking note on what is doing well, but they don't really apply it in the correct way. Like I said, they take note on what's addictive. They take note on how to take advantage of people, the multiple currencies, the store that has a timer on it, all of these different things that try to feel FOMO and addiction and wanting to collect all the different skins and outfits. All of those things are present in all of these other live service games, but what they're missing out is the core gameplay and the core update path and how they keep the game fresh. People are going back to single player games. People are excited about games like Dead Space Remake. It's sad that it's a remake that people are excited about and it's not a great new IP, but it is nice that they did take the time, make it a good remake, add new content, and they didn't add a ton of microtransactions in it. They just made a single player game. It's like EA starting to put the pieces together, like, oh, they want a complete game? That's what will sell? Oh my god, why didn't we think of this? As we've been shouting at them for years to please just release single player games. And now it seems like companies are starting to listen because they're starting to see the trend shift. And I think that's what's happening. The trend is shifting from live service games back to single player games. Maybe in the future, it'll be back to live service again. It ebbs and flows just like MMOs, single player, live service, single player, and I think it's just going to keep going on and on and on. So let me know what you guys think about live service games down in the comments. You guys know my opinion on them. They can work and they can also be just garbage. And of course, please do like the video if you guys liked it. Subscribe for more content. And as always, have a fantastic day. See you, everybody.